Hey there. So, hey, want to try to have a quick video and as an attempt to elucidate what my actual philosophy toward parenting is. I know I've seen this on a couple of threads where parents attempt to summarize what it is that their parenting philosophy is. I know there's these various packaged philosophies of how one can approach parenting. Some parents have no philosophy whatsoever and are proud of it, just like I hope my kids, or I would like my kids to be alive before they leave the house, or I want to continue to have a life and try to parent, and whatever happens, happens, and that's their philosophy. Uh, Thought about it a bit more than that. Obviously, I've written a couple hundred articles on my site, so I wanted to try to summarize, if I could, boil it down to what are the key things that I actually believe in, and a lot of that's influenced by the fact that I am a Scientologist, and a lot of the thoughts that I have on such are derived from a lot of the study that I've done on the subject. So here we go. I'm gonna try to boil it down to like 5 or 6 things that are my core as to what I would consider my parenting philosophy. So, first would be under the heading of find the why. By that, I'm meaning what is the root cause for whatever is going on? What is that one thing that, if handled, would result in a betterment of the situation? Not an explanation, not just a description of what it is that you're seeing, but what is the actual cause? Example of this I found right before I started cutting this video. My wife has been complaining about her Linux laptop that the sound doesn't work. I just happened to find it when I was looking here, and my son had inserted a screw into the headphone jack. There we go. Now the sound works. That was the root cause, not, honey, why are you making me use the Linux laptop? So that same thing is all throughout parenting. You got a kid who's all of a sudden they're bratty, complaining, tantruming all the time, whatever. And the last thing they want to do is the homework that they just brought home from school. You could say, as an explanation for the fact, they're being nasty. You could say they can't focus on their work. You could say any of these things. None of these things actually result in a betterment of the situation. They're not the actual why. Maybe you dig into it and you see the kid's like, I don't want to do my phonics homework. Maybe they have no idea what phonics is. You ask the kid, what's phonics? Oh, that's that thing that dad is saying that it has to come back to Seattle. Oh, it's not the sonics, it's phonics. And you explain what phonics is, and the kid's like, oh, okay, cool, I can do phonics. That would be an example of an actual why. So that's one thing that I try to do as much as possible in parenting is try to actually investigate and find out what it is that's really happening with the kids whenever they're doing something, or just in the house in general. Good. So that's one thing. So find the why. Next thing I could use as an example would be, set a good example. Now, this is something that really permeates so much of what you're trying to do as a parent. You've got certain things that you're trying to get the kids to be able to do. You want them to be able to use good communication. You want them to use good manners with their friends. You want them to be industrious. You want them to study when they're meant to study. You want them to understand things. You want them to not be snippy. You want them to not hit each other when they want something. All those kind of things. And I'm constantly surprised as a parent how many times the one thing that you really are trying to get them to do is something that you are doing poorly yourself. Like, you come home and you don't want to take out the dang trash, and your wife's like, take out the trash. And you're like, honey, and you give her some snippy response as to why you don't want to take out the trash. Don't wonder why the next day your kid's being snippy with you. You just showed him exactly how to handle mom. Be snippy. So it's a matter of, in everything that you do, try your best to set a good example. If you're not setting a good example, again, try to figure out why it is that you're not. If you come home and you're just too ridiculously tired when you get home from work, then go take a walk. Go handle yourself as to why you're exhausted. But the bottom line is, go and when you're with your kids, when you're with anybody, just go and set a good example. I think that's pretty key, pretty core to my whole philosophy for life. So, okay, next up. The kids own their own stuff. So when you give something to a kid, it's theirs. It's not yours, it's theirs. When you give it to them, it now belongs to them. If you give them this, you give your daughter this beautiful, pretty blouse, and then she goes out and jumps in the mud with it, you can't go and berate her for jumping in the mud with it. You just gave her a blouse. It's her blouse. If she thinks that that is now her mud blouse, okay, it's hers. And the reasoning behind this is that you want them to be able to take care of their own stuff. If you're constantly telling them what to do with it, I mean, just imagine if somebody gave you something. Somebody like your neighbor goes and gives you a lawnmower, and then proceeds every day to tell you exactly what you must do with that lawnmower, exactly how you must care for it. Oh, your lawnmower got dirty. You would actually want to throttle him and hit him over the head with the lawnmower. So don't be surprised if that's how your kids react when you say, here's this train. No, don't hit that. No, you can't take that into the bath. No, you can't do this with it. And then you wonder why the train's broken. So, yeah, so for all of our kids, if you don't want them to do certain things with it and you want to maintain a lot of control over it, just don't give it to them. Like, we've got a little tablet, it's got a couple of kids' games on it and stuff like that. It's mine. It's not theirs. You want to borrow my tablet? Here, you can use my tablet. That way I don't have to be upset if they go and they take their tablet into the bath and then they wonder why it doesn't work. So there we go. So kid stuff belongs to them. Next up, communication. And this is, by communication I mean actual, real, two-way communication and understanding of how it works and actually putting it to use. There are some folks I've run into that they're, the main thing that they think is important is that the kid respect them and respect what they say. So basically you're going to say that you need to be able to talk at the kid and they can't actually communicate with you, and that you're not going to take the time to understand what's going on with them and allow them to communicate back. I think it's my own personal feeling that this is one of the most key things, not only as a parent, but as a husband, to be able to actually have good communication. You need to be able to, if your wife comes and she's got a genuine problem with something, you need to be able to understand it. Take it, hear what she has to say, be able to communicate back on it, and come to an agreement. And this is a place where you need to be humble too, and need to realize when your communication skills are terrible. And it's something that you can continually revisit. My wife and I decided when we were going to have kids that one of the most important things we're going to need to be able to do is to communicate. We went into our church and we took another course on communicating. We did the whole course together to the point where we knew that we could communicate with each other effectively. And it's something that I think the importance of that really can't be overstated, because there's so much of life which is just simply communication. And with kids, even when they're little, they've got things that they want to say, and you need to be able to know how to understand that, and then how to communicate back to them. It's important. So next one would be allowing kids to contribute. This is one I already cut a separate video on, but the bottom line here is that when a kid wants to help, you allow them to help. Kids really want to help. They want to be able to help, and you need to allow their contribution and constantly allow it. Even when you're ridiculously busy, late for work, house is all dirty and you don't want them to spill something again, blah, 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 blah. There's all these reasons why you may want to cut off their contributions. They're being annoying, etc. But the bottom line is they want to help. I mean, just think about the last time that you really wanted to help and somebody said, I don't need your help. I don't want your help. Go away. How'd you feel about that? And you likely felt terrible. The kids do too. And so even if when the kids make your coffee, it tastes terrible, allow them to help you with the coffee. They'll get better at it. And my personal feeling is that if you want the kids to be helpful, contributing members of society later and not constantly getting back at society, then you're going to allow them to help now and engender that urge to contribute. Now, lastly, and this is kind of a catch-all for everything that I didn't mention, which I would say is kind of the cornerstone of my philosophy toward parenting, which is to simply um, constantly do more to understand how life works, understand the mind, understand how life works, because if you understand life, you'll be able to handle it and confront it better. You're constantly running into things as a parent that I mean, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes you say, okay, good, this is how I'm going to approach this, and then you end up with a tantrum, and you end up with whatever, kids trying to assault each other with wooden train tracks and stuff like that. And you're like, okay, so that wasn't good. The more that you understand life, the more that you understand people, the less you're going to end up with um, marital problems that affect the house, less you're going to end up with kid problems, injuries, all those sorts of things. So, and it's a constant thing. You are constantly running into more life. It's not like one thing that you do and all of a sudden you're the all-seeing, all-knowing individual that knows everything. It's a constant study of life and comparing it to what you're seeing and get better at it. And so and again, that's one reason why I'm thankful to participate in my chosen religion, because it's something that I am constantly getting better at. I've got books I'm reading all the time, and I'm constantly finding ways that I can apply it to be a better husband, to be a better parent, and so that is the last. And again, it does kind of catch everything, but it is something that I consider as prime importance to continue to understand life. Hope that all makes sense, and I'll probably be expounding upon some of those points more later on. But thanks for watching.